Hey there, you're listening to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, and MMA on occasion. Here's your host, RJ Carbone.
And a high drive into left center field. Stanley's going to watch another one fly. Are you kidding me? DiVincenzo a three. Bang! Bang! Knicks take a
Take this time to apologize to absolutely nobody.
At the wall. See ya! See ya! See ya! Mr. Nobody.
Anthony for three. Bang! That one goes down and the game is tied.
Rose, you shook up the world again.
I did it again. But God did it, man. I really just have
Gonna have to. Brunson running away. Oh my! He has been the best player to put on that uniform.
Ball game over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
So you can look at this loss in two ways, right? You could look at it and you could say it's very hard to be super upset about not going up 3-0 on the defending champions, and that if anybody asked you entering this series that the Knicks would be up 2-1 with another home game coming up, I think we all take it. And then there is the negative, or the longer takeaway here. And that's basically what this episode is going to be. Because the Knicks lost another home game, by the way, another game in this postseason where they cannot execute at Madison Square Garden. And this was what probably far and away the most hyped up playoff game in franchise history, or not franchise history, but probably the most hyped up playoff game in the franchise since the 90s. Right? I mean, think about it. And you watch this game and you had I wasn't even there, but you could tell. You had fans screaming today. It was loud, it was packed. You had blue-collar New Yorkers, middle-class citizens, spending their hard-earned $800 to sit in the nosebleeds of this game, and they're out there chanting for you while you're down 20 the majority of this game. And you blew it. And you gave Boston some momentum back. And now you just made Monday night's game, in my opinion, the entire season. Because after that game, you're either going to be going back to Boston having blown a 2-0 lead, or you're going back to Boston needing just one win in 3 chances. So, yeah, it's funny. Like I said it at the end of last episode, there is no such thing as momentum in the playoffs. Because these players have one thing, they're all very mentally strong in the fact that they're able to erase certain things one game to the next, one day to the next. And Boston certainly came into this game looking like the series was 0-0. And maybe that was because they needed this win. But I think every team, both sides, should go into every game like it's a game 7. And I can't say the Knicks did. Early on, I think the only positive you could say, and this was like after the first couple of minutes, the Knicks were generating some good looks. They just weren't dropping. That's it. That's the only positive I have. After that, it was all bad. Actually, I I turned the TV off at the very top of the third quarter. I didn't watch the entire second half of this game. I was too disgusted. I gave it one chance. So technically I did watch like a minute until like I gave it one chance. I wanted to see what they look on defense, what they look like. And Derek White knocked down that wide open uncontested corner three. And I had the TV remote in my hand at that point, and I pressed power. So I did not watch the second half. Now I went back and watched some film. So I did see it, just not live. But I turned it right off. I got out of my chair, went outside, enjoyed the weather, turned on the Yankee game on the patio. Enjoyed that for a little bit before they blew that game. But the Knicks lose 115-93. And I don't know, maybe it's just me being a prisoner of the moment, but I'm kind of back to where I was entering this series mentality-wise. I have a very bad feeling about the way this series is going to play out. I have a very bad feeling that, I'll say it right now, the Knicks are going to blow this thing. And they're going to completely squander this thing. Because it's who they've been all year. Because they've been an unserious team all year. As a competitor. An unserious contender all year. They've lacked that mental fortitude. Now maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe what we've seen leading up to today in the postseason so far was real. And they do have that factor, X factor, whatever the hell you want to call it. But I need to start seeing it to believe it. And I just don't have a good feeling that this team is serious enough to close out a golden opportunity. I think the Knicks are going to blow the shit out of this series, and I think it's going to be really loud and really ugly. So, with that said, let's talk about some of the X's and O's like we do here. Yeah, it was it was bad defensively from the get-go. You know, it was interesting because in the first two games of this series, the best part about the defense was that they were throwing Boston completely off because the Knicks were switching everything. They were switching their fives on Tatum pick and rolls. They were switching 2 to 5 with Brunson hard hedging. Right? That was like basically the talking point of our game 1 and game 2 episodes. We spent time, giving Tibbs credit for completely shaking up a coverage that he rarely went to in the regular season, and how maybe that was a big reason that Boston was thrown off. In this game today, the Knicks came out the gate with Towns in drop coverage. And it was so puzzling to me. And it was so disgusting to watch. And the fact that it just continued to yield exactly what drop coverage yields, and that's pull up 3-pointers. Right away. You had a Brown-Horford pick and roll. Towns drops. It was Josh Hart who was forced to fight over the top. He couldn't recover. Brown gets a pull-up 3. You had, I think on the second 3-pointer they knocked down in the game, you had a Tatum, Horford, Drew Holiday double drag. Towns drops on the first screen. Tatum makes that read, rejects the pick and roll, pulls up, knocks down 3. I think they ran another double drag or some kind of Spain action. After that, the Knicks were a mess in coverage. That yielded a Peyton Pritchard 3-pointer. You had a Tatum Cornette pick and roll. Towns drops. He's kind of in a very bad stance, as we've seen him continuously this year. And just lets Tatum turn the corner, get to the lane, and it's an easy drive and kick to put the Knicks in rotation. It's swing to Pritchard for a wing 3. Tatum to the corner to the wing. You had a Tatum Porzingis pick and roll. Towns drops. OG's now left to fight over. He couldn't recover. Tatum pull up 3. You had a Tatum Horford pick and roll. OG tags Horford because he's expecting Towns to switch. Notices Towns is in a drop. Couldn't recover. Tatum pulls the 3. And that was all in just the first half alone. So that first half was horrendous. And at first, I fully blamed Tom Thibodeau. Why would this coach go away from what's working? He always does this. What is he thinking? And I thought it was his fault. Because I'm thinking maybe he went to a drop coverage because he saw Boston dominate the offensive glass for a couple of games, and he wanted to bring Towns closer to the boards. Maybe he saw Boston dominate on the low post in game 2, and he wanted Towns to protect the basket. And then I rewatched those first half possessions just an hour or two ago, and I saw some things, and I thought about it more. And maybe that was just on Towns. Because when rewatching it, I'm watching and I'm seeing the reactions of some of these Knick wings, and they're trying to switch it. They're trying to switch those. And Towns is just in a drop. So then you look and you go to the second half, and when I watched the film of the second half, the Knicks came out switching the Knicks came out switching everything again. So what I think happened was Cat was just doing his own thing. And Tibbs told him at halftime, hey, we're still switching. And so unironically, when the Knicks were in drop coverage in that first half, Boston scored 71 points on 63% from their threes. They knocked down 12. And then when the Knicks went back to a switch everything in the second half, Boston scored just 44 points on 38% from 3. They knocked down only 8 threes. So, I'm having a hard time knowing who to blame in this. But if there's one constant, it's that the questions remain about, can you put together a championship defense with Karl Anthony Towns anchoring it? Because he's a very poor defender in the pick and roll. And yes, sometimes it's physically, but there are also a lot of times where it's mentally, where he just refuses to come up from drop to close out. He decides to go on his own and do whatever, just like the top of the third quarter in game 2. Right? And then it's the fundamentals. It's the poor stance. It's the poor technique when he does come up. But I don't know. I don't know what he was thinking. Did Towns see the 2 wins the Knicks had and not come into this game with the same hunger that Boston clearly had to save their season? Did he just not want to tax himself? Because it's hard for me to fully blame the coach when he knows, it was working. Towns can hold up in isolation. Towns as a switch defender is the best defender you're going to get from Towns. So I don't know. I don't know. And there was also a lot of overhelping, which was different, right? I thought the Knicks did a terrible job on those post-ups, on those Jaylen Brown post-ups, trying to protect Jalen Brunson too much. Sending unnecessary help off the switch, even if it wasn't a switch. They didn't do that in those first couple of games. They stayed home to avoid being put into rotation, to avoid those open threes. But the Knicks were overhelping on the post, and in the first quarter, you had a possession. Brown is posting Brunson on the baseline. Mitch is on the weak side wing. He helps off Tatum. Brown makes the skip pass. Tatum knocks down a 3. Second quarter, Brown's posting Brunson on the same spot. The Knicks throw 3 bodies around him, and they're put into rotation, swing for a Peyton Pritchard 3. So I don't know. Like, live with the switch. Live with the switch and let Brown post Brunson. That's fine. The whole point of that switching is to take away those threes. But if you're going to switch it, commit to the switch and don't send help. Stay home to your assignment. Because that's the point of the switch. It was frustrating to watch this team play defense. But you know what? Even on their worst defensive showing of the postseason, they held the defending champions to just 115 points. What's already gotten to a point, but what needs to be talked about even more now and even louder than ever before is how bad this Knick offense is. And how bad this Knick offense has been the entire second half of the season. It's not been good for a while. And it's been very bad in these 9 playoff games. If this offense, with the personnel they have, was average this postseason, that'd be a problem. They're below average. So we are in a really bad state with this Knicks half-court offense. It remains directionless. There's no pace. They're too slow to get into their sets. They're taking way too many two-pointers, way too little three-point attempts. There's no plan. There's no playbook to optimize the personnel on this roster. Towns leveraging his shooting ability. This head coach continues to default to extinct rotations when his back's against the wall. And in that first half, when Towns picked up his second foul and he was to the bench in foul trouble, and Josh Hart was sitting on the bench, normally you'd sit there and you'd say to yourself, well, this would be a nice time to get a struggling offense going, so let me go to my small ball lineup, my 5 out, to space Boston out. Right? Let me throw Brunson, Deuce, Payne out there with the 2 Knick wings, Mikal and OG in the front court. Let me just see what that would yield. Because the offense is not doing the job. But with that struggling offense Tibbs' decision in that first half, when Towns was in foul trouble, was to go to the Precious at the 4 minutes. To old reliable. Now, Precious actually didn't do such an abominable job, but the idea remains. Like, it's been a season-long thing. When Towns is on the floor even, he'll refuse to go 5 out to get the big back to Towns. And then when Towns is off the floor, he'll just make the offense even worse by doubling down on defense. And the defense isn't even that good when you go to Precious. But it's the offense that just continues to be horrid. And you're seeing the Knicks try to go to these guard screens where Brunson calls Hart in to run pick and roll. Now, that was working in the regular season. But you're playing Boston right now. And those Brunson Hart pick and rolls are being spammed a little too much, in my opinion. And there's way too little of those cat pick and rolls. And Boston does nothing but disrespect Josh Hart with their big man that they put on him. They'll funnel the ball to Hart when they're put into rotation. They will make it so Brunson can't get separation or can't get to his drives or get quality looks off on every single Brunson Hart action. Because they're going to double the pick and roll when it's him and Hart. They're going to blitz 2 on Brunson. They're going to drop on the Josh Hart screen with KP or Horford or Cornette. They're going to fight over the Hart screen with ease, to be honest. You saw Drew Holiday just run right through it. They're going to bring weak side help off of Josh Hart when he's spacing out, and they're going to send that guy to Towns post-ups. And this head coach, Tom Thibodeau, is not doing anything to help that because he refuses to run double drag or any kind of action with Towns and four Towns. The only looks that Towns is getting up right now, the only looks that he's getting up are post-ups and tip-ins. The Knicks desperately need his three-point volume. They have arguably the best stretch five ever. And they're using him like a traditional 1990s big. It doesn't make sense. And it's a Tibbs thing, and it's his marriage to Josh Hart, who he continues to play 35 to 40 minutes every game, no matter how good of a performance he's having or how much he's impacting the half-court offense in a negative way. It doesn't matter. So we're at a point. We need to either start Mitchell Robinson or go to him a hell of a lot earlier as the first substitution over Josh Hart. Because you're going to yield a lot better opportunities with that lineup than the one that's been thrown out there all season long and not been effective. The screening that Mitch is going to use will open up the floor, unlike Josh Hart. The offensive spacing is going to be better with Mitch over Josh Hart because Mitch has gravity as an offensive rebounding threat on the dunker spot. Right? We just mentioned when Josh Hart's out there and Cat's posting, they're sending rotations off the wing. Can't help off Mitch when he's on the dunk spot. The defense is going to be better with Mitch out there. You know, Missoula likes to play hack-a-Mitch. He's going to have to go to that. Right away. If you start Mitch Robinson, you're forcing Missoula to do something he doesn't want. He's going to have to get his guys into foul trouble early. Those Towns-Robinson lineups have produced really good metrics this year. And to be honest, Towns has been horrendous without Mitch Robinson this playoffs. And the Brunson-Hart lineups have not produced good metrics. Brunson's much better when he's away from Josh Hart. Hart's a great energizer with that second unit. And we love Hart. But when Josh Hart's not doing the Josh Hart things, the intangibles, the transition stuff, the rebounding, etc., he becomes a total net negative for the Knicks half-court offense. And it has little to do with individual play either, by the way. Like, he had 23 points the other night. But there were still a lot of negatives because of his presence on the floor. So I say get Hart out of there as much as you can in this series. It just might not be his series. And I would go to Mitch Robinson more. Screen with Mitch to get three-point looks up. Use those 5-out lineups. Even when Mitch is off the floor, you don't have to put Hart out there. You don't always have to have a non-spacer out there. Use your 5-out minutes to get Towns three-point looks when he's got the big on him out of the pick and pop. Start upping the pace and go to your offense right off the bat. You don't have to wait until you're down 20 to jack up threes. You should be jacking up threes from the get-go. That's what this team was built to do. And, you know, when I say jack up, I don't just mean senselessly jack them up, but create those advantages. So, yeah, it was a very, very concerning game, to say the least. So that's where we're going to end here. We're going to stop this episode. And when we get back from break here on episode 862, we're going to head to we're going to get to our trivia to wrap this up. Stay with us. Be right back. BD4 is available on social media for those who want to follow. You can find BD4 on Instagram at BD4Pod. You can find us on X at BD4Pod. And you can find us on Facebook by simply searching BD4. Hey guys, just a quick reminder, this podcast is also available in video format on YouTube. So be sure to go over to the YouTube channel, BD4, subscribe, like the videos, comment and tell me how much I suck or maybe how much you like the video. We'd very much appreciate it. Don't have time to sit down and watch a video? You can listen to BD4 on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Don't forget to give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And you can also watch the video format on Spotify too. If you feel like supporting the podcast, you can Venmo at Robert-Carbone-JR-28. We really appreciate your support. Do you enjoy Yankees baseball but are tired of hearing me yap? I have a suggestion for you. Go check out Yankee Crazy Podcast. Greg Gill is a Yankees podcaster on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and he's now selling merch. Go to yankeecrazy.myshopify.com. Stay connected with us. Visit BD4blog.com to explore our blog, tune into our latest podcasts, and follow us on social media. Thank you for being a part of this community. Okay. Welcome back to episode 862, that should say, not 3. I think I had 3 the entire time up there. Welcome back to episode 862. Let's wrap this one up with our trivia question of the day here. Gosh. Such a terrible loss, and it's going to spell some bad things for this team. Just have a feeling the Knicks are going to get embarrassed here. Let's wrap it up. Our trivia question here in this one. Which 2025 New York Knick once played for the Celtics in 2022? All right, and your hint is that he played one game for the team, for the Celtics. Which 2025 New York Knick once played for the Celtics in 2022? And your hint, he played one game for Boston. All right, so which Knick is that? He was from this year's team. Appreciate it all. I really appreciate you all tuning in, win or lose. Win or lose, we're still going to do these shows. Just the losses won't always be in video format because I just don't have the motivation to. We'll see what happens Monday. Can't say it's going to be a good thing. Later. Well, if you made it this far, that means you listened to or watched the entire episode. Thank you. Just remember to follow, subscribe, download, rate and review, and all that fun stuff to help out the podcast. And I will see you in the next episode of BD4.